Hello everyone, you're watching CIVILNET Business. I'm your host, Arshaluis Mukhdesian, and we have social entrepreneur Haik Karapetyan with us. He's the founder and CEO of IMAST. Hello.
Good day.
Haik, let's start with an introduction. Who is Haik Karapetyan? Tell us so that our audience can know more about you and what you do. What are you involved in?
I was born in Armenia, but at the age of 4, my family moved to Russia. So I spent most of my life in Russia, where I got my education, engaged in entrepreneurship, and created one of the largest educational projects in Russia called Geek Brains from 2010 to 2020. It was an online platform similar to Coursera in the West. We trained specialists in marketing, programming, design, etc. It was a large company, and in 2020 we sold the company to the Mail.ru Group, a well-known holding company. After that, I started thinking about what to do next, looking for a meaning in life, you might say. This coincided with the 44-day war, which gradually led me to the idea we will discuss today about EMOST.
We'll talk about EMOST, which, if I'm not mistaken, was launched in December of last year. It reminds me of something. There's similar sites, both in Armenia and beyond its borders. These sites gather people to do some good deeds, to put it simply. What is the main purpose? Please tell us how it will be different. What is your project? How it will be different from other projects? For example, in Armenia, there's a similar project that was launched a year ago. It's Re-Armenia. There too, people from the diaspora and Armenia mainly gather to raise funds, make donations, and help people solve their important socioeconomic healthcare issues, and so on. How will your project be different from theirs?
It seems to me that it's worth starting with where the idea came from, because the idea behind it is probably different from other projects. It may seem like just another crowdfunding platform, but there is a bigger idea behind it. During the 44-day war, I was in Moscow and I was thinking about how I could help Armenia and what I could do, even financially. The problem was that there was no clear understanding of which organizations could be trusted. For those living in Armenia, it was more or less clear because it was closer, but for those outside, it wasn't so obvious because these organizations were not well known. Even if you found their websites, you wouldn't know whether to trust them or not. I realized that this wasn't just my problem, it was a problem for many people because many from the diaspora wanted to help and were forming diaspora groups to discuss this issue. I realized there was a problem. People wanted to help, but they didn't know how. Some wanted to help financially, some just wanted to help in general. There was a big need for this. I came and started thinking about what could be done. I also realized that we have a large diaspora, and there is a unique feature that many people are outside Armenia, but they are not very involved. They could do something because there is a need. The idea was to unite the diaspora around the idea of helping, and I understood that with the help of technology, since I have experience in technology, we could unite people, but not just create another Armenian social network. It wasn't the right time for that. I realized we needed to combine these two ideas, making it easy to help and bringing together a large number of people around the idea of helping. Today, someone might send $10, and tomorrow they might come and do different social projects for Armenia. This is how the idea arose. The main goal is to ensure that all organizations on the EMOST platform undergo legal and financial verification. We have an organization that checks them. Secondly, we realize that no one knows about them. Our main goal, and perhaps the main difference from other platforms, is that besides making the charity sector transparent, we want to make these good organizations known worldwide. So we can say it's a marketplace where we unite and promote organizations, focusing heavily on promotion. This is one. Second, we have a mobile app, not just a web version, etc. The reason this is important is because when you have an app in your pocket, when you have the icon on your home screen, you will use it more often. You will receive push notifications. Our goal is to create this culture. I can also explain why I consider it important. Well, we'll discuss that later. In general, this is the second thing.
To develop the culture of what?
Developing a culture of philanthropy, because in reality, when compared to other developed countries in terms of social aspects, they always have a developed philanthropic sector. In general, it's a sign of development to some extent. In society, there's often a lack of trust. In Armenia, there is more person-to-person trust, meaning I have started feeling this myself strongly recently. But trust in institutions and organizations is weak, and our task is that if there is distrust in society, then in my opinion, it is difficult for society to develop. I saw this when I was managing a company with hundreds of employees. The management and development model of the company was built on increasing trust in people, in leaders, etc. This allows you to develop. In my opinion, the same applies to any society, not just within a company.
Well, trust as a factor is a very important aspect for the development of any society. In general, when it is high, it reduces many costs and expenses. For example, transaction costs are lower if there is trust in society. For example, stores don't need to have as many security guards. This is quite an important point. But you mentioned the development of the culture of philanthropy, the culture of charity. Maybe it needs to be organized in Armenia, but in general, the idea of philanthropy is quite developed. I don't know if it can be considered developed or or not. It is quite widespread, let's say, because we often have philanthropic events at the state level. There is the Armenia Fund, which collects donations annually from Armenians around the world, mainly from the diaspora, for supporting Artsakh and so on. Yes, all of this exists. All this to say, the culture of giving is quite widespread in Armenia.
Yes, I completely agree. Actually, since I have not been deeply involved in the Armenian world for various reasons, when I saw all this, I really saw the people's concern about everything. There are situations where people help, organizations help, and for me, it was a wow moment. In fact, it is very responsive in this sense. It might be incorrect to speak about the culture, but there are factors that hinder it, like trust and some issues. I agree that there are rare cases, but when something does go wrong with donations, it always makes big news, especially in small nations. This spreads very quickly, and because of this, the rest of the philanthropic world who are good suffer. And this factor related to trust is something we influence and stimulate funds to be transparent. We are changing the culture. We are making it so that people walking around collecting money on the street is no longer the norm. Why do that if there are more organized ways to collect funds? And gradually this balance will shift in favor of trusted sources and more systematic approaches. Yes, as it happens in other countries.
Could you please clarify your point about wanting to make it more like a marketplace? What exactly do you mean by that? When I hear marketplace, I immediately think of Wildberries, Amazon, and so on.
When I talk about a marketplace, it is, in business terms, a place where players unite. For example, street food also unites in food courts because it is beneficial for everyone to be in one place. This is a business model. You are right, for example, Amazon is the largest marketplace, and it makes sense to open a store on Amazon because you have access to customers. The same thing, in my opinion, applies to the philanthropic sector. From the client's perspective, it is convenient. They come to one place, search, and find. This creates entire layers of various companies based on the marketplace. Because companies know that the marketplace will bring them clients. Clients know that the best selections are gathered here, and so on. The same thing can and should be done in Armenia, in my opinion. They are already doing it with various projects. Nevertheless, the essence of a marketplace is to gather everything in one place while giving them the opportunity to promote themselves. This means giving them the opportunity to be noticed in America, France, and within other diasporas, doing marketing, promotion.
How are you going to do it?
Marketing, promotion.
Okay, but what does that take? Let's say I'm a person who opens an account and places a project in need of donations. People just need to go to the website, find my project and donate, or will you promote it so more people see it?
There are two sides, donors and projects that need funds. Accordingly, we make it so that organizations publish their projects. We only work with the nonprofit sector, and we are a nonprofit organization ourselves, meaning we don't make money. Individuals cannot participate. No, this is another distinction from other projects where individuals cannot participate because the charitable fund adds an additional layer of verification. If an individual collects money on a card, there are many questions like whether that amount is really needed, if the diagnosis is correct, etc. And the organization, as an institutional player, checks this to understand whether it's really important or not. We work exclusively with organizations, and our distinguishing feature is that we have advertising budgets. How this works is that the organization that places its projects, we publish the project estimate directly. Any donor can open the project estimate and see how much money is allocated. For example, for treatment, how much goes to administrative expenses or other expenses, and how much is spent on promotion. All this money is spent purely on marketing. We use it for project promotion through advertising on various social networks. This way, each project has an advertising budget, and essentially, the advertising budget brings in new donors. This is not a commission for our platform. In general, we don't make money. This allows us to increase the number of donors by several times. Plus, we also have the option for donors to leave tips. When a donor makes a payment, these tips cover our team expenses, supporting our team's operations. This is our core model, focused on marketing to promote, and therefore it will last quite a while.
You've been working for more than 6 months. Could you please tell us about your successes and what turnover you have achieved so far?
$64,000 a month. We initially tried various methods, so the recent months can be considered indicative, with about $20,000 a month collected so far, but the number is gradually growing.
And what is your vision for the development of this platform and the sector in general?
Regarding the sector, it seems that we didn't invent anything new. There are various similar projects worldwide. If you want to overcome a situation, you can do it by changing the environment, making processes systematic. For us, the development of transparency in the sector is a key metric. Organizations publish everything clearly.
This is the main motivator for people to come to the platform and make donations.
Yes, because one of the biggest barriers is trust. People don't donate further because they don't understand where the money is going. Charity has an interesting phenomenon. When I buy a product like glasses, I pay and receive the glasses or something else. But with charity, you only give and create a feedback loop for yourself. At most, you might get a report, but there isn't a feedback loop. Therefore, our main goal with this platform is to create that loop. We do this through news updates. When a campaign ends, we inform people. When there's news about a person or project, we publish thank you letters and so on, so people can see the impact they make. We do this systematically, not just for one project, but for all. We create an environment where funds must be transparent, and we publish reports, news, and all documents.
Right now, it's manageable because there are few participants, like 10 or 20 organizations. It's possible to monitor everything and ensure accountability. But if there are more participants, how will you manage all that?
Actually, there isn't a big problem with it. It requires more effort, but actually Armenia doesn't have a big philanthropic market at the moment. There aren't many individuals either, so it's enough to have a few dozen. Our goal is not the number. We just want good organizations, so we are very selective. It's not about having a large number. We need to choose good ones and work with them long term. Naturally, there will be new ones added, of course. The number will change, but the goal is not to have 1,000. We select the best ones, which are good and transparent.
Thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you.
My guest was Hai Karapetyan. See you next time.